Just have a seat and do stuff at home. It's so good to see everybody. It's good to see a good crowd of people come out. Good to see some faces from Somerville, Chattooga County. Glad to see y'all. This is what it takes, is public participation. And so glad to see all of my friends from around the district. Thank y'all for coming up here. Okay, Mr. Agnew, would you like to lead us in prayer?
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for the privilege of being able to meet tonight. Ask that you would be with us. Give us discernment as we talk about these ideas in our party, the things we want to do to help establish a ballot that is a true Republican ballot and has been moving and standing on that, Father. Just give us discernment, open our hearts. We know we come with open hearts to all those that are here. We have no enemies. We have no person we dislike. We want to welcome everyone here. And Father, we just want to do what's best to elect officials in office that will truly follow your word and follow what you'd have us to do. And that's where we're going and trying to restore the establishment of what our country is about. And that's the country that's under God. We thank you for that, Father. I ask that you be with us and guide us. In Jesus' precious name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mom. Mr. Hope, you want to lead us in the prayer?
We'll all face the flag. Stand up. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I always get a little choked up when I hear a crowd say the pledge. At this time, I just want to recognize any military that we have in the room. You don't have to stand. We appreciate you. We do without our veterans. Law enforcement, I know we have some law enforcement here. Fire and rescue as well, we appreciate you guys. We have any elected officials in the room. Republican Party officers who are here from around the district and in the county. We appreciate y'all. So at this time, I'm just going to say a few things before we bring Alex up, and I'm going to give a couple of people opportunity to say a couple of things. But right now, I just want to say that we're here because the Republican Party is a private organization. It's a private membership organization. The Democrat Party is as well. Just golf resorts, country clubs, they're all private membership organizations. And this is a public meeting that we have invited you to, and just like we invite everyone. And because we are a private membership organization, we have freedom of association. Sorry. Wait. Woo! Sorry, y'all. Y'all know I'm not really a public speaker. So, okay. So we're just wanting to dispel some of the disinformation and the conspiracy theories that are going around Chattooga County about this. So we are not targeting anybody. That's not what this is about. We had no way of knowing that somebody was going to announce their run on the day that we were putting out notices. We just want Republicans to be Republicans. That's right. So if you're planning to run, you have nothing to worry about. If you're a Republican, if you're a conservative, and you have a Republican voting record, and you have conservative values that line up with the Republican Party platform, and there are 20 principles on the Republican Party platform, you can go and look at them. If you know anything at all about the Bible, and you believe the Bible, you most likely align with them. Right. The party has had the ability to do this all along, but for whatever reason, they just haven't observed it. So I'll throw this in. Half of the state of Georgia has been taken over by grassroots, such as myself and people here in the city. We elected Marjorie, and we have Colton, okay? I'm going to say the two strongest true conservative constitutional representatives in the state.
That's right.
We elected them because we align with them.
Yep.
And we're going to have accountability in this party, okay?
Yep.
So it should have happened a long time ago. Why it didn't, I'm not real sure.
Can I ask a question?
If you will hold your questions to the end, please. That's what I was getting to. We're going to have a Q&A time at the end. So, and if you will keep your questions brief and respectful, we are not going to tolerate any of the attacks that we've been seeing on Facebook. It's not going to happen here, okay? We will mutually respect as long as you respect us. I mean, we want y'all to come and get involved. I mean, we literally have begged the public to come and get involved. And I'm sure that you other counties have as well.
Yep.
So,
Right.
I mean, we just want accountability. We just want honesty. We want truth. The Republican Party has a platform, unlike the Democrat Party. You know, we have principles. So I'm not real sure what all of the fuss has been about. It's not that big of a deal. If you're a Republican, then you're a Republican. If you're not, then you should say so. Don't start out dishonest. I mean, that's all we want is honesty. And this is a general meeting, so we're not going to be observing Robert's rules, but we will keep things on schedule, and we will do this in a timely manner, so we don't keep anyone unless you just want to hang out. That's usually what ends up happening at the meeting. We're in the parking lot until 10 o'clock at night, so because we're not that terrible people. We're not the monsters that we've been made out to be. So, let's see. I think that's about all the points that I wanted to make. Again, let me say thank you so much for coming out, because it's going to take community involvement for any of this to work. It's going to take, I mean, we're all aware that our country's being taken over. Can we all agree on that?
Amen. That's right.
I mean, what are we going to do about it? You know, we have to stand together. Put your little differences aside and stand together as a community and a district. We have a very strong district, very strong. We have an excellent working relationship with our sister counties, and I'm very proud of that, because we have open communication lines. We talk on a regular basis. We go and help them. They come and help us. This is something that's never happened here before. So, and I'm very proud of our group of ladies and gentlemen that come here and spend their time with us every month, and we work on things together. You know, we're all sacrificing our time, and that's what it's going to take. So I do appreciate everybody, and so Alex is here. Alex is an attorney who practices law throughout the state, focusing on personal injury and civil rights litigation. and he sues politicians for violating people's rights. So, he is, let's see, he's been in the GOP most all of his life, founded numerous conservative organizations, and served as the president of the GRA for more than 10 years. And a lot more in his bio, but I will let him, oh, wait a minute, hold up, I missed something. Sorry, Alex. Mr. Pritchard, our first vice chair of the state party, is here, and I have asked him to address some things.
Well, Alex is gonna wow you. I'm not here to wow you, okay? He's got facts, figures, data, he's gonna show you some things. And when Alex leaves tonight, if you don't know what the accountability rule is about and what we're talking about, you'll be clear when you go home. So for any media, I don't know who the media is. My name is Brian K. Pritchard. I'm the first vice chair of the Georgia Republican Party. I'm glad there's a lot of video cameras, not being negative to the media, but just to make sure we have our quotes correct. That being said, the Georgia GOP rules state that only the chairman can make an official statement on behalf of the Georgia GOP. But God said, I can make a statement on behalf of myself any damn time I want to. Sorry, that's just who I am. I'm sorry, I apologize. But as the first vice chair, I really want to make a statement this way. So, for argument's sake, we don't want to disenfranchise a single voter, right? God knows, Democrats, right, don't disenfranchise a single voter. So here we are tonight in a county that may have 14,000 registered voters. So for argument's sake, let's say all 14,000 registered voters go vote. Let's not disenfranchise anybody as we're doing our math. Now, this is a county that probably 75% of those voters vote Republican. Okay? So let's stay with that. That means, with those numbers, 10,500 registered voters in the county where we're at would go out and cast a Republican vote. Right? Okay. Now, with that being said, we'll call it 100 in the room. Right? There's 100 in the room. Simple math. That means 13,900 registered voters are out there. Right? You with me so far? They're out there. What that means is, my opinion, it's their responsibility here in this room, the Chattooga County Republican Party, to make sure that when 75% that want to vote Republican out there go to cast their ballot, feel that they have given them a real Republican to vote for. That's it. They, out there, 75%, right? They come back to this table when someone masking as a Republican, they come back to this table and say, why didn't you tell us they were going to raise our taxes? Why didn't you tell us that they have more of a vision with the Democrat platform? Why didn't you tell us this? They come back here. Now, all they're doing, this lady said exactly, all they're doing is trying to clarify, Alex is going to explain that tonight, all they're doing is trying to clarify this room out there, they get a real Republican. Now, if I haven't said anything controversial yet, I can't sit down until I do. I live in Fannin County, Georgia. Anybody know where Blue Ridge is? Fannin County? I live 2 miles back on the dirt road. All right? Now, I'm going to speak for myself in Fannin County. I'm going to stay out of your neck of the woods and get back in the mud. 75% of our county votes Republican. And I'll be damned if we don't get a Democrat sneak up there every time and try to qualify as a Republican because they know that's the only way they can get elected.
That's right.
So I'm gonna say in my neck of the woods, I ain't getting in your business. That's our business.
Okay.
All right? We have it all the time. We have people all the time trying to go qualify. Now here, it's America, folks. And if you want to run for office, you run for office. But if your vision and your view and your ideals of life are the Democrat platform, they have a party you can run on, and this is not it.
That's
You
right.
understand?
That's right.
Probably should sit down. But I'm here tonight in full support as the first vice chair of the Georgia Republican Party to say, all we're doing is asking the candidates to uphold, adhere to Republican platform and our beliefs. It is that simple. We can preach all night. We can box it up there. Now, for the camera, so I can get off the floor, I want to thank one of my dearest friends for being here tonight, Christopher Moore. He is the first vice chair of the 11th District, Republican Party 11th District. He's the chairman of Pickett's County Republican Party. Between him and his executive committee, they had the blank to pass an accountability role, okay? I was in the room that night, right? I was there with you that night. I'm here tonight, 2 hours from home. But there's two things. Joanna's here. All right. Jackie's here. Denise is here. You see, we support each other. We're Republicans. We might do a little internal fighting. We might say some things to each other from time to time. But when it comes to stuff like this, we're in the room together. All right?
That's right. That's right.
Because I know the Atlanta media is going to be watching. Trust me. For the media out there that want to spin that we're not unified, want to spin that we're not ready, I don't want to forget to say we will win in 2024. We're not as tore up as they want you to believe. And I know I said I'd sit down 3 times, but I promise this one go. Not to put you on the spot, but do I have any local city council members here tonight? Thank you. God bless you, friend. Okay? Do I have any county commissioners here tonight? In the back? God bless you. You want to run on the ticket, come participate in the meetings,
That's right.
and be a part
That's right.
of the
That's right.
Thank you, Mr. Richard. And I almost forgot here, I have this Georgia Election Code 2023 edition issued for Brad Raffensperger's office. And I just want to read to you this code, section 21-2-131, page 95, under opinions of the Attorney General, authority of party to refuse to qualify candidates. The state and county executive committees of the political party have the authority to refuse to qualify a candidate upon a determination that such candidate does not meet the qualifications for nomination to public office.
That's right.
So what we're doing is not illegal. We're not trying to make a lot of enemies. We're not trying to make anybody mad. We just want Republicans to be Republicans. If you're a conservative, then run on a Republican ticket. If you're a Democrat, then please run on the Democrat ticket. You know, we're 75% Republican vote here. So people think they can't win. I mean, if you're a well-liked person, you can win. You sure can. Chattooga was Democrat for years and years and years. I mean, if you are a good person and you're a Democrat, I mean, I've voted for Democrats around here. I grew up here. I had to. You know, that's all we had. I've been a registered Republican. I registered as a Republican at 18 years old. But yes, I voted for Democrats here on a local level. So, you know, what we're doing is not a terrible thing. So anyways, Alex, if you'll come on.
Hello, everyone. So, as Jennifer mentioned, I'm Alex Johnson. I'm an attorney. I do constitutional rights law. I do sue government officials when they violate people's rights. I also do other civil litigation, like going after insurance companies with car wrecks. I help businesses. One thing that I do not do is I am not a lobbyist. I do not work like lobbying for politicians or big companies or anything like that.
Amen.
That's an important thing to know because you have to understand where a lot of the narratives you hear in the media and what politicians say and what they do come from. And that's from interests with money wanting to get their ideas into law. I hesitate to say principles because their principles are usually this money and power, which isn't really a principle. So I've been involved in Republican politics since I was in law school for about 13 years. I'm from DeKalb County. I'm currently the chairman of the GRA. I'm president of the National Federation of Republican Assemblies, both volunteer grassroots organizations. The NFRA has been involved since helping Goldwater and Reagan in California years and years ago. But those organizations, that I am helping lead, are about Republicans acting like Republicans, stopping what some of you may call rhinos, and essentially restoring the Republican Party to its principled roots, the endorsed and contested primaries. Now, the accountability rules, the idea of accountability. This comes from the fact that politicians, I'm from DeKalb County, one of my first experiences in the Republican Party is listening to a Republican politician get up in front of us, advocate greater spending, say how he did a good job of getting something passed and increased spending, and then a bunch of people in our room applauded in this Republican meeting for increased spending and more government. And it confused me. Why was that happening? Why in a Republican Party meeting would you hear that? And the answer is because most people thought, well, we're better than the Democrats. This person is better than the Democrats. And I don't think that's good enough when our country is falling apart. I don't think that's good enough when you see our institutions of this nation under threat. You see political prosecutions happening in parts of the country of Republicans. You see venom, people thinking the Republicans and Democrats just can't get along. And I think part of the reason for that is that you have so many people for so many years just saying, well, I'm not necessarily a Republican, I'm a conservative, but I'm voting for the Republican because at least they're better than the Democrat. And you have Democrats saying, well, I'm voting for the Democrat because they think they're better than being a Republican. And that never sat well with me. And it doesn't sit well with our rights as Americans. As Americans, we have a right to freedom of association. The Republican Party is a group, just like the Democrat Party, where people came together and associated under a common set of principles. That's why we're together. That's why we have the Republican Party on the national level, state level, and local level. For reasons that we will probably discuss in question and answer, the party hasn't been stopping people who are not believing in our principles from running as Republicans. And because of that, our brand has degraded. That is why you hear people say the parties are all the same. Why should I even vote? We have an obligation as the Republican Party to make sure that when people vote Republican, they know what they're getting. If every 1% of the time you bought a can of Coca-Cola, you had a dead rat in it, people would stop buying Coca-Cola.
Right.
That's what's essentially happening. Maybe Pepsi has 2 rats in it, so when people want a Coke, they'll drink the Coke. But in this situation, we need to make sure that when people buy Republican, when they vote Republican, when they go and run Republican, we know exactly what they stand for. And that way, our brand is stronger than when people go vote, they will be happy, excited, enthusiastic to vote Republican. And the way that that happens starts here. in Republican Party meetings at the county level and at the state level. I mean, just a year ago, there was a proposal to have it set so that the state convention delegates, not just the state committee or the state executive committee, could choose to not qualify certain people under the Republican ticket. That did not make it out of the Rules Committee. Why would it not make it out of the Rules Committee? And I was on that committee. I think it's honestly because they want to keep power with a small group as opposed to all of the Republican convention delegates. So that's where this is groundbreaking here. It makes common sense, it's groundbreaking that you all in Chattooga County have decided to set up procedural rules that say, look, you need the approval of the party to run as a Republican. And some people might find that radical. However, that concept is so simple because everyone can come out and be involved in the Republican Party. We have a convention process this year coming up. We had one last year. We have that process, and anybody who says they're a Republican and can show up to those precinct meetings in the county convention and be involved and elect the county party leadership and come to the party meetings and meet the party leaders, which there are tons in this room right now, and you can meet them and talk to them and have your voice heard. But the point is that our institutions in this country are failing because of the people. Because the people haven't been involved in the institutions. And we need more people involved in the Republican Party. I often hear people say, what about people who don't come to the party meetings? Well, then come to the party meetings. Meet your neighbors. Come to the precinct meetings. Like, we need that community. That's how we keep our country, is by knowing each other. Being involved. You have to be involved in your community. You can't just go and say, oh, look, the politicians aren't doing what I said. Well, let's get let's just vote them out next time with no sort of context, without being involved in your community. Because those people know the lobbyists. They know the people with money. They're going to have all that support. And then you're going to have things mailed out to your communities that say that they're the most conservative Republican. And if you haven't been coming to the meetings and following the voting records, they're just going to get reelected. That's what happens. And I will say this because he said I could. One of my good friends is a professor of mine that went to, I think it was Yale or Harvard, got a PhD there. He's a politics professor, studied international relations, doesn't get involved in local stuff. I told him about this idea, about the idea that the party should pick the nominees or make sure that only real principled Republicans are running for office. And he thought about it. He thought about, while I was talking to him, he's like, well, I get mailers, and that's oftentimes how I make up my mind on who to vote for in the primary. And he's like, but I don't really have time to research, and I think it is a great idea that the party actually stand for that. And this is somebody who spent 6 years getting a PhD in politics. And he's like, you know what? The party really should take a role in this. And that's the thing. The only people opposed to this, it's not the smart people who can make a good decision. It's not people who aren't really paying attention. It's the people who are making money off the system. They're the ones who are opposed to it. Only ones, I'm telling you, they're opposed to this. They're the only Republicans, anyway, that are opposed to this. Democrats may like the system. The ones making the money, the Democrats are opposed to it. Or the people who, I wouldn't call them Democrats. They're the people who just want the government to take money from you and give it to some company that they're friends with. I don't think those are even Democrats. Those aren't Republicans. They're just something else. Corporatists. Absolutely, Denise. And that's where they can still run. They can create their own party, or they can become an independent and get the signatures. But they can't be a Republican.
I agree.
So I know that a lot of people may have questions or concerns or comments, so I am open for that. I also have some friends here that are also legally trained and involved in the Republican Assembly. My business partner, law partner, and national director of the RA, Catherine Bernard, is here.
Yay!
He is not only legally trained, and he is the president of the GRA. We're all here to help answer questions. Chip Joanna, who is our secretary of the RA, is here as well. but yes, I'm open for questions, comments, concerns. Yes,
I've
sir.
been a Republican since the seventies here in this thing. There's not a committee across the 5 people gonna tell me how I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna vote for Allen, Andy Allen himself. And if they don't put him on the ballot, then I guess I have to vote independent. Is that gonna throw me out of the Republican Party?
No, I mean, so just to be clear, I do not know Mr. Allen, but I mean, if you, like, the way this works, like, that wouldn't throw you out of the party, you'd have to vote independent, but I mean, if you've been a Republican since the seventies, and Andy Allen,
I've been one with us, and my daddy, he running Republican in this county right here, Barnard Drive.
absolutely, and that's like, I don't,
Once in a while, the testing and stuff back then and stuff. Often, you get my bird. I was telling them have a nice day and keep on walking.
absolutely, and that's the thing, good Republicans, I mean, I'm sure that you've done a great job vetting Mr. Allen, who,
Yes, sir.
yeah, and he's a good Republican, he's been voting Republican, and he believes in Republican principles. I wouldn't see why the county party would not have him on the
In the
ballot.
state of Georgia, you can't register as a Republican or a Democrat. You just register. And you can vote any way you want to in the state of Georgia. Am I right?
So you can, so the way it works in Georgia is that in the primary elections, you go in and you pull one of the ballots. That is public record which ballot you pull,
Yes, sir.
either Republican or Democrat
They've
ballot.
got a
So,
paper of where you voted at.
yeah, so people, so that is public, and that's why you'll oftentimes, a lot of you will see, you'll get a lot of things from Republican candidates, because they know that you pulled the Republican primary ballots year after year, yeah. So that's how they sort of know which way. I mean, at one point, like years ago, the Republican Party in DeKalb County, very Democrat county, the party organized an effort to cross over and get rid of Cynthia McKinney. The Republicans all voted for the Democrat primary in order to get rid of McKinney, which then led to us all getting a bunch of mail from Democrat candidates and vague accusations that, oh, you must not be a Republican. And it's like, well, we all are Republicans. We just got rid of McKinney. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that Mr. Allen, who, again, I do not know all the local politics, but if he's a Republican and he's been voting Republican and there's no signs that he's really secretly Democrat, I don't see why. Yeah, and that's the thing is that there will still be competitive elections. I do not believe so. I don't know what will happen at the party meeting to qualify people, but I will say that.
I didn't know nothing about voting on nothing like that.
Yeah, and that's something that will happen here locally, but I'm just thinking ahead, because this is something that 4 years from now, 6 years from now, when you have people running and that are secretly Democrats, and they come in and they're like, well, I'm going to run as a Republican. And small story, I was at a house closing, I was actually a power of attorney for someone. The lady selling the house worked at some board of education. She was a member of a board of education in a Republican county. And I just made some comment like, oh, so I'm guessing how's the politics up there? And she's like, well, we're all Republicans up there, sort of winking. And she was telling me she was a Democrat. And she knew nothing about me, so she didn't. And I was like, oh, I just filed away in my head. But that is what they do. People that want power will say, well, what is this county, Republican or Democrat? And then they're like, oh, well, it's Republican. Well, I'll run as a Republican. And then they try to sneak in because the party hasn't been doing its job looking out for it. So I have not heard anything about targeting a specific commissioner here, and I think that ultimately, if someone's excluded who you think really is a good Republican, that is a really good reason to get involved in the party and make sure the party represents the people. Yes, exactly. If you've been involved, that's it. Yeah. Exactly. So I don't think it's to target any good Republicans. I mean, the state executive committee just put Donald Trump on the ballot. A small group of 29 people put him on there. So the allegations that I've heard. Yeah.
That's not right.
No.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
When you register to vote, you just register to vote. You don't register as a Republican or a Democrat.
Correct. 100% correct. When you register, you do not.
100% Republican register.
Hmm?
You're not, when you register to vote, you just register to vote.
Correct.
That's correct.
Correct.
I'll sign it as a Republican or a Democrat.
No, you are not registering as one or the other. When you pull a primary ballot, you're letting people know that it's not registered, yes. Yep. Yeah, that's right. If you couldn't hear, Joanna just mentioned that when people qualify as candidates, they sign an oath saying they're pledging their allegiance to the Republican Party. She just was making that comment. Yes, Charles.
A friend of mine, Phil Cannon, a lot of people know Phil Cannon. I talked to him in the grocery store, tried to get him to come to the meeting, but he wouldn't come. But he was opposed to this, so I asked him a question. If Vladimir Putin wanted to run on the Republican ballot, should he be allowed to? And he says yes.
Wow. I mean, in that, I would say that is exactly why we have the problems we do now with getting good candidates and having a good reputation as a party. Because if you allow people who don't agree with our principles to use the party name, it's the same thing as allowing anyone to use your name or to use the name of your company or any other business. It is disruptive to the party's brand. Yeah. Yes, Ryan.
First, Alex, thank you for explaining the accountability, and I like the can of Coke and the can of Pepsi, okay? I like that, but thank you very much. Again, I said earlier, I'm from Fannin County. I don't know if you know where Fannin County is, but we mirror Chattooga County as far as a rural county. 75% Republican. I understand this gentleman's question. I understand what they're saying. And let me just give you an example. We had a county commission race, and in a forum, in a Republican forum with 3 Republican candidates, when asked, your favorite president, one of the candidates said Jimmy Carter. And it's on video, okay? One candidate actually said Jimmy Carter, and we have that on video. So the only thing I was saying earlier, I'm not debating you, don't take this wrong. You're a Republican since '76, and I know looking at you, you know what a Republican is. You know what a Republican is. And you expect when you go to the ballot box and vote, that you vote for a Republican.
I won't go talk to that person.
There you go. You're answering so many of our questions tonight. You're going to go make sure yourself they're a Republican.
Yes, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
I agree with you. And you're making a lot of the point. So this candidate you're talking about, I've never met before in my life. But if he's the Republican you say he is, he ought to breeze through their questionnaire and be on the ballot. I don't know that. I'm not going to say one way or the other. I can't answer that. And I'm being respectful to you. But see, you see what I'm saying? I'm in a county where, heck, we're worried right now that we're going to have these certain Democrats that know they got to run. Now, he's from DeKalb County. We don't have. And all due respect to Alex and Nathaniels and Cobb, and all due respect, they're not real worried about Democrats running to be Republicans on a ballot. But you, where you sit, you decide for yourself. But where I sit in Fannin County, it worries us sick all the time because we know we've got a bunch of liberals that's running and paying their $350 and getting an R next to their name, and the voters go out here and vote for them, and then they come back and say, why didn't you tell us they were Democrats?
Amen.
No, that was a good comment, and I just wanted to comment real briefly, then I'll call on Denise. But one thing that happened, just so you all know, something that drives me and why I do this, because it's important to ask yourself, what's the motivation of either the politician running or this person talking to you? Like within politics, you have to figure that out. And I just thought of something that might be illustrative. I got involved in the Republican Party in 2009. I got involved locally because, like, at the time, I was still in law school, I was staying at home. And my mom was very bothered. I mean, I was bothered too about the fact that Obama got elected. Like that was something where it's like, wow, the Democrat won. And the thing was, well, let's get involved in the local party. So we got involved in the local party, and I have been raised that Republicans were for individual rights, personal responsibility, lower taxes, less government, more state control, not federal. And I get there, and then I realize that so many politicians don't follow that. They lie to us. And they were all lying. And I realized, wait a second, if I got, the only reason I realized they're lying is I showed up at that party meeting. What about the millions of Americans that don't know any better? I thought every time I voted Republican, the primary didn't really matter. If I voted Republican in general, it was all good. But it wasn't. And that's how we have the spending we do now, the taxes. I mean, the bank bailouts. I mean, I remember like 90% of people were opposed to that, and yet it still passed. Same thing with Romney McDaniel being elected as chair of the group that just corruptly funnels money to lobbyists and vendors around the country, called the RNC. Like, I mean, that's the thing. It's a grifting game, and the only way we can get back is through the people. Denise?
Just picking up on something that a couple people have said. This is not an effort to, like what's happened in Maine or what's happened in Colorado. This is not an effort for a small group of people to select the one person that is going to be the standard bearer for the party. This is an effort objectively with a committee to determine if a candidate who seeks to run on our brand meets the platform principles that the RNC has adopted, and the RNC adopts those through the delegate process, and Georgia has 3 delegates in that, we send more delegates to the convention in July or August, but we have 3 permanent appointments, representatives from the state of Georgia that serve year-round to the RNC. And so it's those people on the rules committee and the platform committee who put those platforms together, and then through our delegate process, the party being involved with the party, we're electing the delegates, and we'll be doing that this spring through our convention process, that will go to the convention in the summer, nominate our presidential candidate, whoever that might be, and then they will adopt the platform on which the party will stand for the next 4 years. Because we do that at a presidential convention. We only have those every 4 years. The state party has 3 conventions out of every 4 years. We take off the year that the constitutional officers run statewide. So when the party's involved and they're sending the delegates, they're establishing the platform. They're not deciding who a one person is going to be that's going to march through with the flag at a county, in a district, whatever. Anybody who meets those platforms and agrees with our principles is welcome to join us, and best man or woman win. I just wanted to clear that up. It's not to restrict other people so that one chosen individual makes the cut. It is to preserve our principles as a private organization going forward, because if you don't stand for something, then you will fall for anything. And we're seeing that widespread through the culture.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well said, well said.
That is absolutely true, Denise. Like, that is the way that it goes. I mean, the party could, for no better term, the establishment wanted to go and just pick somebody. Like, they could have done it with the presidential ballot in Georgia,
Right.
but the executive committee of the party didn't.
And as a person who is on that committee, who placed that vote, there was a tremendous amount of gossip and innuendo in the weeks coming up to that, indicating that there were going to be people who tried to restrict. And there was never, ever, ever, ever any conversation amongst the 29 people who voted to put our ballot together to restrict anyone who legitimately had a nationwide campaign for president. Zero discussion, zero controversy, zero conspiracy. Do not believe everything you read.
Can I quickly, Alex, can I quickly second that?
Yeah.
Because we're together on that committee, and this lady's 100% right. There was a lot of people whipping around in Georgia. Donald Trump wouldn't be on the ballot. It was never whispered, it was never discussed, it was never debated that night in our meeting. And
Or beforehand.
Or beforehand. None of us ever said a word. So I just want to second what she said, that every candidate, we had candidates that are only polling 3%, but they met the qualifications that we lay out as a party, right, Denise? They met the party qualifications that we have, and we didn't even argue. There you go, you should applaud. We didn't even argue at all, we just said, okay. So I'm sorry to get involved in that, but I want to second that.
If anybody's got any questions about Al and with the Republicans, I've known them ever since 1950, and they voted a straight Republican. And everybody else, 90% of them was voting, well, I'd say 99% voting Democrat. Yeah. That's all I want to say.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And one thing I just wanted to say, and thank you for that, I just wanted to say in response to what Denise and Brian said, was just that the thing to remember, though, regarding people being on the ballot and the idea of, like, excluding some people, you have to think, like, why is it that the parties, like a lot of the parties around the country or state, don't normally, like, even though if they're run by the sort of establishment moneyed interest, why aren't they excluding people? The reason why is because they know they can win with the money. They know they have the money so they can put out, in the media, so they can put out whatever narrative they want. The reason why we have to maintain the brand is because they don't care about maintaining the brand. They don't care at all. They want people to buy the primaries, and then if they don't win in the general, they don't really care because they bought somebody on the other side too. So when you hear about the uniparty, that's what it is. Like, that is what is going on. But yes, sir.
I feel like Phil Cameron's a friend of mine, and I'm sure he laughs about what someone said here. But I think Phil's point would be, if you were here, that you said that a committee refused to allow the state party to do this selection. And you said that the reason was you thought it should come down to the local party. My question is, why don't they go down a step further than that to the primary? I mean, why are we deciding who's good and who's bad? Don't that come out in campaigns, and don't that be accomplished by the people themselves in the primary?
So just to clarify, so the rules committee on the state convention, that was just a small subcommittee of the state convention where the rule change would have made it so that all the delegates at the state convention could determine it for statewide office. This rule only affects county office. The state party deals with state qualifying.
Now, there was motions for it to be on the state level.
Yeah, that was the rule that then didn't get discussed because
As a member of the committee, he voted it down.
I voted.
And your reasoning also was that in order for it to come down with the local party.
But I was going to mention the primaries, like regarding what you said about the primaries. And the issue with the primaries is what we have been seeing rather consistently, which is that money buys the primaries, and incumbents just get elected regardless of their voting records. And if those politicians want to continue to be Republicans, they have to act like Republicans. And that's where the party organization comes in to stop that corrupt influence of lobbyists and people just lying to voters. Because with enough money, you can lie about anything you want, and that's what's been going on throughout the country.
I just don't buy into the conspiracy theories But I do believe that the best place for a candidate to be either approved or rejected is with the people. And to me, a select committee is bordering on Democrat strategy.
Well, I mean, anyone can run for office who wants to. It's just if they want to have a Republican title next to the name, they have to actually be Republicans, and the Republican Party
And the
only
code says,
associate with.
the code gives you a simple statement in that regard. It says, you pledge your allegiance to the Republican Party. Anything beyond that is passing judgment on an individual and reflecting on their character as to whether or not they're lying.
So the code says what? Well, first, I don't know if the code. So, first level, Constitution of the United States, California Democratic Party v. Jones, firmly establishes that political parties have a right to associate with who they want. The political party leadership can choose that. Once you go to the state, so that would override any state law. The state law that you're referring to also says in order to qualify, you have to comply with any procedural rules of the party. And that's what the party could set. The party could set those rules, and part of those rules could be you have to be approved by us, which is sort of common sense to me.
This law is written that's the way I read it, that it's the code for qualifying. But, if the whole association thing came up when David Duke tried to run for president, and the Supreme Court decided that, the Republican Party and any party but now, when you bring that down to apply to local individuals, especially people who are already in office as Republicans, I think you're taking that way too far.
Nope.
Yes. I was just saying, the gentleman right there's waiting one. Yes, sir.
All right, Will Jones, I'm the Douglas County Chairman for the Republican Party. And we've been dealing with just what they're talking about for years, where there are people that have been voting Democrat, supporting Democrat policy, some of the most heinous of those, and then right around when the time comes down for primary, and that's why one of our executive committee persons actually wrote one of the resolutions that went to the state that didn't get voted on, and it was approved on the 13th level, district level. But what I want to say is let's get back to where we started out with where Jennifer was talking about, is that this is it's not to prevent just the regular Republican that has been running and been supporting Republican values for the long. This is to put a stop to these rhinos that have been supporting these Democrat policies. And you know what? We was just up here last year in Walker County. We went to the Board of Education meeting where they have books in there that these liberal Democrats have been pushing all around the whole country with this perversion for our children. So we cannot stand back idly. It's about stopping creeps like that get a whole bunch of money behind them because they want to push their agenda, and then the next thing you know, you ask like, where did that come from? Why did Johnny read this, and why is he looking at that in there? And so this is not about this. We're all people. We're all just like you. We're fighting to save America. And one thing for sure is that these people are doing a diligent duty, and that's what these committees are about. They're about coming together. Let's vet these people. Let's go through. Let's see how they have been voting. If they've been voting 20 times throughout the last 10 years and then only voted for one Republican, and then they've been walking around saying they're Republican, that's an issue.
That's right.
There's a problem somewhere. And so that's what this is all about.
they don't know. We are all here, so we probably better candidates, but people lie. And when uninformed voters get to the ballot box, they just look for the off. Like, these people just want power and elected, and we're tired of it. If your candidate is for less government and fewer taxes and all that, you shouldn't have a problem. He's a Republican. But it's like he says, the ones who vote Democrat 60% of the time, that's not a Republican.
Well, that's what Democrats say, that we're too stupid to make decisions on our own. Here's the thing.
Alex, can I jump in? Just to answer your concern, I mean, sir, do you track every single vote of the commissioners in your local community? Because I know that I sure don't. I have some activists in my county who do, and I'm grateful that they report back to us in the Chattooga GOP, where I come from. But most of us don't actually have the time to keep up with every single vote of our Board of Elections, our Board of Education, and our commissioners. Our local GOP county, they have the availability to add that extra scrutiny to what's going on there locally. And so they are able to, provide an analysis and say, hey, we find that these guys they're not up to snuff. In my county, Brian was totally right that in Cobb County, where I come from, we used to be our solid red county. But over the last 20 years, something happened in our county, and a lot of it was because we were not protecting the hen house. Republicans were not protecting the hen house.
Let me say something.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Say something.
My point is this. Democrats have already decided that people are not capable of having their own government. And they're deciding for you who you should vote for. And they will lie, they'll do anything that it takes to get your vote.
That's
The word fighting was used here. And here we are. We have a situation where Marxist Democrat communists are in control.
Yep.
They're wanting to make you buy a $60,000 car. They're wanting to have 5-year-old transgender.
Yes.
They want to murder babies up to the time of born.
Yes.
We are in here fighting ourselves, and these people are taking our nation.
Get on board.
Thank you for that, and I think that what you are identifying is exactly the cause of what you're identifying is the lack of brand by the party. The reason why this happens is you can have people run as Republicans, get the Republican Party nomination, and then proceed to undermine and attack the party. Yep. That is what, you saw that happen with, what do you call it? Mitt Romney has done that. Mitt Romney's done that. Liz Cheney has done that.
Brian Kemp.
This is a situation where people like that are actively, and they were seen as leaders. Actually, somebody from Georgia, and you all may not even remember this. I do because I was calling out the party on it. John Barge. I don't know if you all remember John Barge running for school superintendent.
Yes.
And then when he was done, between him being out of office and the next election, he endorsed a Democrat against the Republican nominee.
That's right.
And he was listed on the state GOP website at that time as Georgia GOP leaders. And he was listed there. Even after it was pointed out to them that, hey, this guy who's leaving office is endorsing a Democrat. So that's, to your point, that's the fighting that occurs, but it's happening because no one, a lot of people are going to be confused they should be confused by that. Why is someone that's a Republican endorsing a Marxist? That shouldn't happen ever. A Republican elected official should never be endorsing a Democrat. And that is what we can stop by people, honestly, good Republicans, I'm sure all of you are in this room, showing up, being involved, and watching the politicians, because the politicians should be accountable to us.
Amen.
We should be accountable to all the Republican voters. Why aren't they just accountable to us, and then we're accountable to the public? Yeah. That makes the most sense.
Yep, that's right.
That makes the most sense. Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to say that we experienced the same thing in 2020 as a local Republicans went around saying Republicans for Jimmy Holbrook, and I say that because that was the name of the group, and Jimmy Holbrook being a Democrat. So that happened here in 2020. We've got to have accountability. Anybody that fears accountability, it's a real problem. It's a sincere problem. And we most recently had a school board, our local school board, raised our taxes. The village rate that raised the taxes. And what I would like to know is how many here know the members of that board who voted against the millage and voted for the increase? Because I know.
Well, Jimmy Holbrook wasn't elected.
Well, no, but I'm just saying.
People spoke in that manner.
Can I just tell real quick, in Cobb County where I'm from, I have lived through Cobb County going through a major transition from being a solid red, famously nationwide known Republican county. I mean, like, people talked about Cobb County and Orange County as two of the biggest Republican holdouts in the country. So much so that in 1996, they specifically avoided allowing any of the Olympic activities being held in Cobb County, right? Some of y'all remember that from 1996. What happened to Cobb County over the last 20, 15 years? We got a commissioner in there named Tim Lee who voted to give all kinds of taxpayer subsidies to the Brave Stadium and build all of these apartment complexes right around that Brave Stadium and right around Kennesaw State University. This is not a free market Republican idea. This was we're going to tamper with the free market and we're going to manipulate, we're going to choose winners and losers, and some people are going to get to make a ton of money off of taxpayer funds. As a result, we brought a bunch of new Democrat voters into Cobb County that we didn't have previously. You know, Cobb County is still one of the largest Republican counties as far as, raw Republican votes, but we now are eclipsed by Democrats because Republican county commissioners brought a bunch of new Democrat voters into our county through their policies. Now, if our Republican Party at that time had been paying attention and had pointed this out to the voters, because most voters in Cobb County at the time, every time there was a referendum where we got to vote on whether we wanted a tax increase or whether we wanted to be able to have government money going to, some special business, we voted it down every single time in Cobb. But when our commissioners did it, they got away with it because nobody was paying attention. They were listening to the news, and all the news was talking about was what the federal government was doing, right? So if our Cobb GOP had 15 years ago had held Tim Lee and the rest of those commissioners, Republican commissioners, accountable, we might have been able to prevent the Democrats from taking over our county. And that's what I think things like this are really helpful for making sure your Republican counties stay Republican.
Am I on there? You're on. First of all, I want to apologize for being the second cousin of Jimmy Holbrook. Me and his daddy grew up. He's my best friend. We're the same age. I don't know where he went wrong. I'd like to thank Finder and Wright for encouraging me to run for tax commissioner as a Republican in 1996, even though I didn't have a chance because everybody was Democrat. I ran anyway and was soundly defeated. But we're Republicans now. And so we're trying to spread our wings. However, we have a problem in Georgia, and that is the governor of Georgia is a tyrant. He's in charge. He's the most powerful governor in America. And he is kicking our rear end. He doesn't care about us and won't listen to us. We want paper ballots. He wants machine ballots. We've had fraudulent voting in 2020, 2022. It's been validated. You can go to the meeting tomorrow in Rome Auditorium at 5:30 and listen to Dr. Frank. So this is what this is all about. Us having a hammer over these people that they have no fear of us. They have no fear of doing everything that Kemp said. Every one of these state legislatures endorsed Kemp in 2022. Every single one of them. Every single one, except for Moore. No, Moore wasn't elected then, was it? Yeah, he wasn't elected. Every single one of them endorsed Kemp. Now, they have no fear of us. But we have paper ballots and
Paper ballots.
and we're not getting any help on our state legislatures and our county commissioners and our board of elections or whoever they are against paper ballot. They don't get to run as a Republican. Thank you.
Realize something that's important to talk about, and that is, so how many of you have gone to one of your elected officials? Now, by the way, the GRA, full disclosure, we endorse Colton Moore. Colton Moore is doing an awesome job. Pushing to get the RICO prosecutions in Fulton County ended because the legislature actually, controls what the law is. So if the law changes, then no more prosecution. But how many of you, I'm just thinking, have gone down and asked an elected official before, on the state level, about a bill or pushing a bill, and their response has been something along the lines of, well, we gotta get it through a committee, or we need some other politician to do something. I mean, that's a common experience. You talk to one, and almost universally they'll say, go talk to that other one, or go talk to that other one. Like, it's almost like they don't want to do their job. Like, it's like they just want to push it off on someone else. And these are Republicans, when Republicans have a majority. So the thing to remember is that they're doing a job, they're just doing it for their donors. Yes. And specifically the donors that manage to get leadership to go along with it. That could be, like the Speaker of the House or the governor or anybody else. Like, they have an agenda, but they aren't necessarily listening to the people in this room. Yes. And they aren't necessarily listening to the people out there either. Because as the gentleman mentioned earlier, it should be about the people. Yep. It should be about the voters. But the voters aren't the ones talking to the politicians at the Capitol. And the politicians at the Capitol certainly aren't listening to them. They certainly aren't listening to people in this room. So who are they listening to? Just look up the ethics website and look at the donations to the politicians. It's all public record. So the point is that to Charles's point, they have said that they will ignore the party. Like, I ran for state party chairman a few times back in the last decade, and the thing that I kept hearing was from people that were involved in the party for many years who were probably opposed to this rule. They will say, well, the politicians aren't going to necessarily listen to anything the party says. Like, it's like they know that the politicians won't listen. They'll listen with rules like this. This is how you get accountability. When the politicians actually have to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. They can't
Amen.
vote to lobby and then yes, ma'am.
Until 1976, lobbying in Georgia was illegal. Now, how did that get changed? Did the people vote on that?
I wish I knew the answer to that question. I could try bluffing, but does anyone else know? Like, yes, just.
I think lobbying actually went to court, and it was the court decided that lobbyists were part of, I guess, political. This is back from political science that I read, but they decided that lobbyists were part of it, and that we can't.
Freedom of speech, probably. Her answer makes me think that it's probably something to do with freedom of speech. It's probably considered speech. I mean, sort of like the federal campaign finance recently, I've read the new decision, but it pretty much said that money is speech. So that would probably be why.
But when you're funneling millions of dollars in with that speech, it sounds like private speech.
I have extended family that are from Mexico, and they had a lot more respect for me the second I told them. I was like, oh yeah, I understand corruption. I mean, in the U.S., we just call it campaign finance and lobbying as opposed to private. That's really real. I mean, it's a difference. Yes, sir.
I'm going to make a statement. It's only a statement. I don't even know where it's all going to end. But I think it needs to be acknowledged. There are two Republican parties in Georgia now. What's going to happen? I don't know. I'd like to know. Only God knows that. But I think if you don't know, you need to find out why is there two Republican parties in Georgia that are registered.
So I just wanted to say that, and I grew up a country boy. I'm talking about no running water for the first 11 years of my life, no central air, and all of this. I grew up around some people that had farms. We did. But one thing I found out back then was that there was something they used to get rid of rats. And that what they used to get rid of rats was about 90% eatable. You could eat the corn. But it was the 10% strychnine that would kill you dead. And what we're facing now is a lot of people that look like Republicans, talk like Republicans, do, and look, even when it comes down to our governor, Kemp, he's done a lot of great things. Let's not dismiss the whole thing. He's done a whole lot of great things as far as conservative values.
Right.
But look at what our country is going through right now because weak people would not stand up when we know that this was a stolen election back then. And they would not do what was happening.
Amen.
Right now to our country because they refuse to stand up and do the right thing. Now we're looking at record inflation, which they still keep talking about is 7%. When we go into the grocery store to get eggs, we could get 4 years ago for $2, and now we're paying $7, $8. And so I just wanted to say that. And then as far as the other thing about this other vote, that's why we're getting ready in just a couple of months. We're getting ready to have precinct caucuses for over 80,000, under 80,000. This is where you go because I did not know until I really got involved in the party, even after coming for a while. I didn't even know nothing about these delegates that they were talking about. But you come to these precinct caucuses, that's where you get the opportunity to come. You become a delegate in your party locally right here. But if you get involved locally, then if you disagree with what the leadership is doing, then you come together and you vote against it. That's the way this works. That's the way the electoral college works. The people come together and then we say, we don't want that. We don't want, and you go and you vote again. So vote them out. But we've got to get people that will have the courage and stand up when it hurts.
That's right.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
I just have a quick comment, just really quickly. Whether you support the accountability rule or not, I just have to make an obvious point here. If you support or know of a candidate who is afraid to defend themselves as a Republican, you might have a problem.
Amen.
Everybody, in my opinion, in this room is on the same team. They're just being gaslit by people trying to cause trouble and are obviously bored in their life. There's a lot of trouble going on in this world and we can't control everything, so we try to control what's in front of our face. We need to stop being gaslit. And if a candidate is afraid to come to a meeting about being a Republican, I can promise you they're not one.
Amen.
That's an amazing point, and it's something that is very easy to notice when, you hear people talking about leadership, like be it the leadership in the House or leadership in the Senate. I don't know about all of you, but I think that's misusing the term leadership. Because leadership means you have a vision, you have a set of principles or a plan or a goal, and then you lead people to that. Not you sit there, get enough as much money as possible, and then tell everyone, oh yeah, we can't do that, go talk to someone else. That is what I think the difference is, and I think that we need leaders, and I think leaders are not afraid of coming before the people who put them in office, the Republican Party, who allows them on the ballot and then elects them together into office. I don't think leaders are afraid of accountability. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, my name is Hannah Sharp. I'm the secretary of the GOP here. And this is not my first rodeo, by the way. I have been more into politics than you would realize. Back in my 20s, I came together with some people in Walker County, Whitfield County. we developed the definition of marriage act. Y'all remember that? We fought Republicans to get this passed. So it is very important that you do vet who you vet and make sure they are who you vet. Okay? It's not to bring anyone down, but if you're a Republican, if you stand on all those rules, you believe in God, you believe in our freedom, you believe in the George Washington prayer, then you're a Republican. What we're tired of fighting are those GOP who stand out there with the money, who don't want the DOMA Act, who don't want you to have. I even did homeschooling. You homeschool your children freely here in Georgia? Thank my friends and me who fought for you to have the freedom to I have anxiety, I have PTSD. But as God knows, I will fight till I die for my country, for my children. And for, if you're a Republican, you have nothing to fear. And the unity to stand for our children's future here in this country. I don't like Governor Kemp. You want to know why? He's pushing the electric vehicle crap on us.
Yeah.
You think my dad, or when he's passed away, you think back then he could afford an electric vehicle on what he makes? No. So we have to stand up. And if you come before us and you're like, hey, we want children killed up to 9 months of pregnancy. No, you're not on our platform. I'm sorry.
Thank you for that. There is a reason that there's an option for independents to run. I mean, not everyone's going to necessarily be a Republican or Democrat, but it doesn't mean they get to pick us and run our name to the money. And all of your names, too. Anyone have any other questions? Any questions?
By the way, there is a petition that's circulating around. If you haven't seen it, make sure you get a chance to sign it. It's an option to put your name in support of, there it is, possibly having the state GOP apply the accountability rule to Brad Raffensperger.
All right.
And to the gentlemen here that have been mean-mugging almost the whole meeting. I'm on the committee. They called me. I was at home sick. I couldn't make it to the meeting. They said, will you be on the committee? And I said, well, what is it? They said, well, we're going to ask questions about people who are going to run for office. We want to make sure that they represent Republicans, true Republicans, not these Republicans that are only in it for the money, who are only in it to push whatever agenda pays the highest payment. We have been as transparent as we can be. A lot of you folks that are from other counties, I've seen you at meetings before, but a lot of you folks that are from this county, I've been going to meetings since March, and I haven't seen you. Did you not come to that meeting when Colton Moore was here? No, you didn't? Okay. Well, I've been coming since March because I decided I can't object to what's going on unless I get involved. Now, I don't know Andy Allen. Okay? I don't know him. I don't have anything against him. Okay, no, listen. No, let me speak, please. I have been taking pot shots for the past 2 months because I questioned some people with some of the things that they were saying and doing without facts. And that was before my name came out that I was on the committee meeting. Right there's the platform. If your man has a problem with that platform or signing the oath that he signed to run for office, then he's not a Republican. Right. If he doesn't, then he doesn't have a problem. We're not trying to exclude anybody. We're trying to understand who we have and who we don't. I've lived in this county almost 20 years. I don't know you.
You don't know my daddy.
No.
Republican.
Don't.
So you don't.
I lived a quiet life. I had a business. I took care of my children and my grandchildren. I was not involved in politics. But I know now I'm sick and tired of walking up to the polls and holding my nose to vote for the least repugnant candidate that's there. Okay, so.
I never held my nose when I voted. I always go straight Republican
And I never had a whole lot of.
That's a problem. That's a problem, because we have people now that are running as Republicans that are true Democrats. And that is a true problem. It is actually.
Name one in Chattooga County.
It is actually.
And you were allowed to say.
Yeah.
I did not say Chattooga County. Chattooga County, for record, has the lowest percentage risk factor of having corrupted election. We have a good county here. I have no doubt that all the people in this room are decent people. We like living here. We chose to live here. I don't know anything about Andy. He lives somewhere away from where I live. I live over towards Menlo. He lives out towards what? Towards the area? I don't know him. But that's the whole point. There's a lot of people in this county now. We don't know each other. We don't know each other. And there, I know you don't. And there's a lot of people. I'm a veteran. I'm a veteran. Tammy Flowers. I am a veteran. I have 3 children. I have 8 grandchildren. Their future matters. Ron? I'm tired of taking pot shots because somebody else is telling you that it's going one way or another.
Well, then why don't you just go around there?
It's right here. We're right here.
Thank you for that. And one thing that also I think people need to remember, I'm from DeKalb County. We don't have Republican elected officials. We don't. And the way it happens, at one point we did. I think when my parents moved us there, we did have Republican elected officials. And the way it goes back, to agree with Tammy's point, is that the issue is that once you are DeKalb County, it doesn't matter. The DeKalb GOP, we can have a rule like this passed like next week. But it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't affect anything. Because no one's running as a Republican, and then when they do run, I mean, people are running on the state level, but on local county office, they're running as Republicans. And if they do, it's like 80% Democrat. But the way that happened is people got in there that voted for high-density zoning, more government handouts, and the whole county changed, just like Todd. So the thing is, of doing this, setting this precedent, setting this system up, like, you may be thinking right now, all of our elected officials are great. And maybe they are. Like, I do not know Chattooga County's local elected officials. I know your state senator, who is working very hard. I don't know all the local officials. But they may all be great. But when the Democrats or the non-Republicans start running people, and if you don't have this in place, they might come in with the developer money from DeKalb County and just change the entire county into one that is Democratic. And then it'll be too late. Then you'll be just like my poor county. So that's the thing. Like, I think everyone in here, at least anyone in here was a Republican. I know that everyone was invited, but all the Republicans in here, we're on the same team. Like, we really, really are. If you're here thinking that we have a lot of problems and we're tired of Republicans on various levels betraying us, we're on the same team. We're just trying to get the right answer, and that's by the party holding these people accountable. They will ignore us until you have this in place, and then all of a sudden you're going to see them acting a lot better. You won't be seeing restrictions on your personal like, they will act so much better. Like, I could guarantee they'll be acting better. Yes.
All right. So I'm Zach Brandenburg. I'm right up the road in Walker County. I'm their secretary. So look around the room. There's a lot of good people in this room. We're here because we care. We're here because we love this area we live in, whether that be here in Chattooga County or up the road where I'm at in Walker. But I've also noticed there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of fear behind this accountability rule. So just for the sake of clarity and transparency with some of this, could you explain the process as to if I were to be running for a commissioner seat or whatever it is down here, what that process would be like for me as a Republican candidate?
What the committee has done is they have set a date that the candidates or the nominees will come and do interviews with them. There's 5 of them that will ask questions that are based upon the Republican Party platform. Some of us will be there and we'll have their voting record pulled up online. So we will know how they vote. If they vote Democrat or Republican, we will know. We already do know. Because we have a database, and we use the database to go door knocking, try to recruit people, try to look for good candidates. We already know their voting record, so if they're honest, that's great. And that's it. They'll go and they'll do the interviews, and then the 5 committee members will convene together and make their decisions.
Each committee member will ask one question.
Somebody asked me, including comments.
Yes, if you're gonna run as a Republican in Chattooga County from now on, you will go before the qualifying committee so that we can ensure that we have true conservatives on the Republican ticket. And if they're not, if this group says, no, your voting record doesn't match up with what you're saying, then they can go run on the independent ticket or the Democrat ticket. We're not stopping them. We're not stopping them. Sir, you are out of order. You have been out of order the whole night. There's no reason for you to act like you are. You have not shown up at a meeting in over 2 years. No, it's not a lie. I've been to every meeting.
Well, who are you? I don't know.
I'm Malcolm Wright.
He's Malcolm Wright. He's the father of the party. Everybody give him a round of applause, please.
All right, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. There's a question. Yes.
Can you please tell me how the committee was formed and how that vetting process took place?
We are all volunteers from around the county, and some of them are precinct chairmen. They all volunteered. And we voted.
And we voted for 5 panels based on the fact that should 2 disagree, you have a 3rd bill. Okay, that way there can't be a tie. It can be a tiebreaker in other words. So it's still fair, and it's a democratic thing to do.
And just so you know also, the process, do you know the commission process? Are you familiar with that? All right, no, so the thing is though, every 2 years, and this is something I should have mentioned a lot earlier, every 2 years, the entire state GOP, from bottom to top, and I say that intentionally, from bottom, the precinct level, to top, the state chairman of the party, are all reelected. Every single party officer, except for the committee man and committee woman, which are elected this year, and that's on a 4-year cycle, the entire party leadership has changed, from your local precinct chairman all the way up to the state chairman. And anybody who is a Republican can come out and be involved in that. The information on it's published in the county legal organ. There's probably one going out soon for Chattooga, but it happens in every county, and the entire leadership of the party changes around the state. So to your point, those people elect, like first there's a precinct committee elected, then there's a county committee elected, then a district and state. So the leaders of all that are elected by the Republican voters. Then all Republicans would show up too. So that's what happens in Georgia. I will say it is different in other states. Like, craziest example, in California, the people who elect their state leadership are like appointed by politicians. Even though it's like there aren't many Republican politicians out there. So that's the underlying system that creates the county committees and such. So that's a great question.
And I have one more question, and then I'll stop.
Yes.
I have one more question.
Oh, yes. Yes.
If a Republican is rejected, is there an appeal process? And what is that?
You're talking about the procedures that are in place. Yeah, so there's an appeal, like the county committee handles any appeals of county decisions, and then it goes to the district, then it goes to the state committee. So there is an automatic appeal process in the state bylaws or decisions of the county committee.
Alex, isn't it true that if people feel like these folks, these good folks, some abused their authority in this way, they have the opportunity next year to vote different leaders of the Chattooga GOP. That's your recourse if you don't like it. I don't think anybody here is ultimately going to be that upset, but that is what you can do if that really bothers you.
Yeah, because it's Nathaniel's point. There was always the risk. I mean, there's a lot of ways that people should have fear. A lot of times the fear comes from the establishment that like the current system. But one of the things that happens is people say, well, what if the Democrats like come in and do something? What if the Democrats manage to take over the party? Well, you just vote them out. And one, if you show up, they won't. Like, that's the other part of it. Like, Republicans need to be showing up. Like, Democrats aren't going to try to take over the cab GOP, because why would they? We don't have Republicans running. If they tried up here, it's up to you to make sure Republicans come out. Like, make sure that actual Republicans show up to the meetings this year, next year, all the conventions. Like, the reason why the country in the state that it's in, and it's on us. It's on all of us. Like, that is why. So if we want a better Republican Party, we have to work to make it happen.
Alex, just for some clarification, number one, you know I support what you're doing, and I back you 100%. But a lot of tonight is we want to make sure Republicans are Republicans. So Jennifer, can I ask you a question? When you made the committee, just for clarification, when you put the committee together, and this might sound like a dumb question, could the committee pass all the questions and be a candidate themselves? Is that part of their qualification to be on the vetting committee, that they would pass every question and their voting record? A. So if I'm sitting here and I'm a candidate and I want to be on the ballot in your county, I know the people asking me the questions actually would qualify to be on the ballot themselves. That's number one I'd like to know. And number two, are these questions public knowledge? Does the candidate have an opportunity to know this is what, is it on a website? Is it public knowledge of when I come in, I know what, I know what you're looking for, and I, can be ready to sit down in front of you. So those are two things I'd like to know.
Number one, what my people don't know is that I have secretly been snooping, and I know how they vote. So they're conservatives. They're ultra red.
I respect that.
And they're all members, due-paying members of the party. They attend every meeting. They help me with every event that we put together. When I need help, they're right there. And the second part was, what did you say?
Are those questions that...
Oh, are they public? They're going to be based upon the platform.
Right, I get that.
Platform. So I don't know what their questions are.
But if I went over as candidate A and I want to be a county commissioner, and I start looking for qualification rules of how much I got to spend, how much it costs for the county to get on the ballot, and what I got to do as a Republican, where do I find what you're doing tonight if I want to be a candidate, so I know what's required?
In our little county, they are welcome. They can come to our meeting and talk to us. They can come to a monthly meeting and talk to us. They can reach out to any of us.
The rule was posted.
And then there's the package that comes from the state.
Right.
So,
okay.
So
this would be in the package. If you went over to the county to qualify, and they say you want to be a Republican on the ballot, and they hand you a package to qualify, this would be in there.
Their questions, no.
But the requirement to meet with the panel.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Well, I think we're about out of time.
I got one more.
Yeah, right.
Is Mr. Allen here this evening?
No.
Oh, Mr. Allen's here.
He was scared.
All right, just stay right there, please. Yep, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the question, hey, Nathaniel. The question about how this came to be, we had monthly meetings every single month, paying members that volunteer to be district delegates at our district convention. Many of us were state delegates for our state convention for years, several years. We come together every single month. At those meetings, we take care of business. When that happened, we're under Robert's rule. There was a motion made to have a discussion about this rule. It was seconded. There was a discussion that took place amongst the members that were at the regular meeting, and it was nailed out, it was discussed, and then there was a motion to close the discussion. There was a motion to take a vote, and it was seconded. And there was a vote taken amongst the Chattooga County Republican Party body, the whole body, about this rule.
Then it was okay, because we have the rule and it's passed, what kind of process is that gonna look like? There was a motion made, it was seconded, there was another discussion about what the process would look like. Okay, I was there, among not just these 4 people sitting at this table, but other voting body members of Chattooga County, which means they are Republican voters in this county were at that meeting. Okay? We talked about the process. We made a motion about the process. We asked for volunteers to be on the committee. They were all talked about, and then every single one of them was voted on by the body of the local party to put the process in place. When that was done, the minutes, the rule, and the process was filed at the courthouse. It's taped to the wall at the courthouse. Our probate judge was told about it. He was told what the process would be, and if anybody came in and wanted to vote, give them the information and the process. Okay? So it was clear. It was transparent. You know, I got asked one time several years ago why a certain thing got voted on in the party, and my response was, everyone in this county has the right to be involved. If you choose not to, that's on you. But don't think that the rest of the Republicans in this county that do get involved are going to sit around and not take care of business to represent the Republican voice in this county.
That's right. All right, well, that was awesome. Thank you. I need to wrap things up. I just want to say that first, what you just described, that is leadership. And that is something that the party is doing, and a lot of times we don't see the politicians doing that. And I think that moving forward, I mean, one thing that, as you all know, I mentioned earlier, I'm president of the Georgia Republican, not president, chairman of the Georgia Republican Assembly. Nathaniel's the president now. I was going to say that as chairman of the Georgia Republican Assembly, we have taken a stand. We're supporting Fulton Moore. We also are standing for changing the RICO law to end the political prosecutions in Fulton County. Now, one thing that you all may want to look at when you think about rhinos and fake Republicans and people that aren't really Republicans is that I don't think any Republican in this state, if you look at the polling numbers to verify this, thinks that the prosecutions by Fonnie Willis in Atlanta are good, allowable, constitutional, or should continue. Senator Moore is proposing a law that will end that by changing the RICO law. If any Republican does not support that, and if you don't see it voted on, you really need to question if those people are Republicans, those politicians, if they are not standing behind it, getting that law passed. Because that's the type of thing we need to be looking at, is which people are really Republicans and standing with the Constitution, standing with the people, standing with the Republican voters, and which ones are holding a Republican title just to be in office by lying to all the voters. So, with that, appreciate you all having me here today. If you like this philosophy and principle, please check out the Georgia Republican Assembly online. Apply to join. We really are just trying to work together to get more principled Republicans into party office and into public office. Thank you all. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. And I just want to say, Mr. Rainey, about what you said, the parallel parties. I just want everybody in here to know, I live in Chattooga, where some of you are, and if there is a split and we lose the party to the coalition type, Republican, whatever, I'm going to fight this fight until the day that I die.
That's right. That's right.
My loyalty is not to the Republican Party. My loyalty is to God, my community, and my family.
Hey, that's right.
Amen.
That's right. That's right. There you go.
The Republican Party is a vehicle for us to take our country back.
Yep.
And we can do that, but we have to start it in our own community. You really only have any control over what happens in your community. We're not trying to fight against you or anybody else. We're
I'm not trying to prevent anybody from running on for whatever. I have the utmost respect for anybody who has the courage to step up and run for something. But if you run on the Republican Party, we want you to be conservative.
Yep. Accountability.
We thank y'all so much for your support. Thank you all for coming. And if y'all want to hang around, that's fine.
Thank you all for watching. It's Kingdom Love Small Town Underground. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to take a bunch of pictures with my friends. Have a good evening. I hope.